Hey there. Welcome to the inaugural Facebook Live of the Debt Free Guys that we'll be doing weekly. This week, John and I want to talk to you a little bit about money. It's a subject that is close to our hearts. And this week, we're really going to be trying to encourage you to think differently about money. When I think about money, oftentimes we think about lack or the desire to have more or the problems it can often cause us. But John and I want to share a little bit of our story that's maybe inspiring to you.
Yeah, earlier this week on Monday, we posted an article called "We Were Living Fabulously but Fabulously Broke," which I think is something that many of us in the LGBT community are doing. And in that article, we mentioned several times to help the queer community get better financially, we created the Queer Money Facebook group. It's a private group that we have in Facebook. So if you haven't yet joined that group, please do so. But just to give you a recap of what that article was about, we sort of told our story. When David and I first got together, the last thing that we talked about was money. And in fact, it wasn't until a year and a half after we got together and we were already living together that we finally had a discussion about our finances. And that's a whole
It was a scary one.
That's a whole story in itself. But
Right.
we're doing a high level recap here. But it was at that time that we disclosed to each other that we had $51,000 worth of credit card debt. And the irony was that, at that point, we had about 17 years of combined experience in financial services. So we were helping other people with their money, but we weren't helping ourselves.
Right.
And we realized when we were living in our basement apartment, when we had that discussion, that our life wasn't going in the direction that we wanted to go in.
Right.
So we figured out how to...
We had this dirty little secret.
We figured out how to pay off our debt in 2.5 years. And then we took what we used from paying off our debt, plus our professional experience with helping other people with their money, to sort of create Debt Free Guys. And our passion right now is helping other people in the queer community do what we did. Many of us seem to be living fabulously, but we're fabulously broke. And we've learned from statistic after statistic and then all of the emails and direct messages that we get from our community that so many of us are struggling financially. And David and I want to solve that problem. That's what tonight is all about. That's what the Queer Money Facebook group is all about. That's what Debt Free Guys and our Queer Money podcast is all about.
Exactly. As John mentioned, we do have a Facebook group called the Queer Money Facebook group where we encourage people to be open and honest about their conversation around money, whether that's how they themselves are dealing with it or maybe how they're working together with their spouse. And the whole idea with the group is to allow individuals to maybe ask some questions that they may not be comfortable talking to their friends or even their financial advisor about. It's a quote-unquote safe space to talk about money. So we encourage you to join the group, Queer Money Facebook group.
It's ironic that we have no problem talking about sex with strangers, but we won't talk to our family about money.
Exactly. So I want to ask you, is this the way you typically think about money? When you're thinking about money, is this what you see? You see yourself kind of imagining or picturing what it would be like to have a better relationship with money, or you dream about money? And oftentimes it maybe comes a lot of questions come with it. How can I make more money? How can I live within my means or below my means so I can start saving money or paying off my debt?
Why is money so hard?
Right. And that's really the way a lot of us have felt and feel on a regular basis when it comes to money. We're just scared when it comes to money. We have all these inhibitions. And really, the way we all want to feel is more like this, right?
Everything is awesome.
Right.
Now
We all
Legos.
Right. We all have this idea of that, we want to have this awesome life. We want to have an awesome relationship with money. We want to be able to do awesome things, hang out with our friends, and all that awesomeness requires that we become awesome with our money. And that's a really hard thing to do because so many of us are either not educated when it comes to money because our families never talked to about money, or we are simply scared when it comes to money because we've had some bad experiences.
That's what this is all about.
Right. So that's why we're doing our Facebook Lives on a weekly basis to cover different topics that will help you become better with money, just like we became better with money.
Yeah, so Dave and I, like I said, we finally admitted that we had $51,000 worth of credit card debt, despite supposedly knowing better.
Right.
And so we paid off that debt in 2.5 years. But it took us several years after that to realize, how did we get ourselves into that that precarious position. Fortunately, we were able to save ourselves and completely turn our financial situation around.
Right.
We went from a $51,000 deficit, living in a basement apartment, to a $700,000 surplus, living in a high-rise that overlooks downtown Denver and the Rocky Mountains, and we're now some of the last people every day to see the sunset in Denver. So things have completely changed for us, but it did take us a while to step back and realize, why did we get to that point? And we realized it was for two reasons. One, we realized that when we finally moved out of our parents' house and we were financially independent on our own, we could finally be who we were. We could finally come out of the closet and be gay in our circumstances. Many of our LGBT brothers and sisters can relate to that. And at that time, when we were finally making money, we were able to, we started to make up for feeling less than
Right.
when we were younger. We started making up for feeling bullied and picked on and treated that because we were different. We could finally use money and use our spending and fancy dinners and fancy cars and nice travel to make up for that inadequacy that we felt during our childhood.
Yeah.
But ironically,
it was fun. I mean, it was honestly, I mean, all of us love to spend money, right? I mean, it was fun being able to spend pretty much all that we made on ourselves to make ourselves feel good.
Yeah, but it's like a drug almost, because you're spending that money and you're masking a problem, you're masking the pain.
Right.
And it took us until a couple of years after paying off our debt to realize that. But the irony was that when we finally were out on our own and financially independent, and we found our community of other LGBT people, we still had this inferiority complex, this
Right.
insecurity about us, and we thought that, well, white, upwardly mobile, middle class gay men are supposed to be fabulous, right? We're supposed to dress fabulous.
I got to be fabulous
cars.
too.
We're supposed to travel the world, and we're the original dinks, right? So we had these dual incomes and no children, and so we should live like that. The problem is that we were living way beyond our means, and we were racking more and more up on our credit cards to a point where we were paying $10,000 a year in interest payments.
It's crazy.
So when we paid off that debt, we basically gave ourselves a $10,000 raise. I mean, if you got that kind of a raise from your boss today, you'd be skipping out the office, probably not returning from Puerto Vallarta for a week.
Exactly.
So it was for those two reasons. One, making up for feeling inadequate when we were younger, and two, trying to fit in when we were finally older, were the reasons why we realized that we were racking up so much credit card debt. And we have learned from all of the last several years of doing Debt Free Guys, from hosting the Queer Money podcast, from the Queer Money Facebook group that we talked to you about earlier, and the direct messages and the emails, and when we go out in public and speak publicly, we get all of this feedback that many in our community are having the same struggles.
Right, exactly. And one of the things that we realized, John and I both realized, is that when we got to that low point, when we were kind of slapped across the face with this realization that we had $51,000 in credit card debt, that we realized that if we kept on doing things the same, there would be no different result. If we kept on spending money the same, we'd still be in debt. If we kept on earning the same what we were earning, we would still be in debt. So we recognized that things needed to change. We saw a great quote this week in a podcast that we listen to on a regular basis. This is a quote from Lisa Nichols.
You heard it in a podcast.
Exactly. Sorry, we heard it on podcasts. And this quote is, "You're not sentenced to a future because it was your past." And so really what we're driving to, this point we're trying to drive to here, is that our past is just that. It's our past. If we decide to make a difference, if we decide to make a change, then our future will be different. So we oftentimes get down on ourselves about where we are and the things that we have or we don't have, and we compare ourselves to everybody else. If you want things to get better, and I'm sure you do if you're here listening and watching, you want things to get better, so you have to make a step forward. You have to take the step forward to make some sort of change. And as John mentioned, that's exactly what we did. We took the step forward to say, this is enough. We're done with this and we're going to move on. We went from I want to I can to I will. And we progressed in this kind of mentality of this is what we wanted to have in our lives. And in order to have that, we needed to take action. And so like Lisa Nichols' quote there is, you're not sentenced to your past as long as you make the change for a better future.
Exactly. And I think the first thing to know is that you're not alone. I mean, we're a gay couple who has gone through this as well, and we know so many other LGBT people who are struggling financially, and our passion is to help turn their financial situations around.
Right.
David and I want to build a strong queer community, and we believe that one of the pillars of a strong queer community is financially strong LGBT individuals and
Right.
allies, of course.
Right.
So our passion is to help turn everyone's financial situation around, so that we can live fabulously, but not live fabulously broke. You
Absolutely.
can have that financial security that so many of us say that we want. David mentioned a quote earlier. 58% of LGBT people stress about money at least once a week.
Yeah.
That's per a recent Mass Mutual study. 70% of us say that we're not prepared for retirement, but most of us don't care about that. We're more concerned about living for today than planning for tomorrow, except for the fact that most of the emails and direct messages that David and I get are from people who are at retirement age, but they don't have anything saved for retirement. They want to know what can they do quickly and easily. So our goal is to help turn everybody's financial situation around so that everyone can be financially secure, and that it's not a dire straits situation when you're approaching retirement or maybe even later.
Absolutely. And one of the things that made it easier for John and I is that we had each other as a support system to help each other get out of debt, to help each other control our spending, or to be there when we were weak, or maybe after we were weak to prop each other up to say, okay, we made a mistake, but let's keep on moving forward and let's get better. And that is the whole reason why we're here. That's the whole reason why we're doing this Facebook Live, the whole reason why we have the Queer Money Facebook group, which we encourage you to join. Join us in the Facebook group so that you can get answers to questions and that we can be your support system so that you can improve yourself financially. The comments that we've been getting from people in the Facebook group, the Queer Money Facebook group, is that they're concerned about their debt, that they're concerned about not having enough saved for retirement. They're concerned about not making enough money. Over the next number of weeks, John and I are going to be covering topics that will help you understand how to make improvements in all of those aspects of your life. How you can make more money, how you can live below your means so you can pay off your debt, so you can start saving for your retirement. All of those things are things that we did, and we want to show you exactly how we did it and how you can do it too.
Exactly. So the purpose of tonight's Facebook Live is to, one, let you know that you're not alone. Yeah. You're not the only person struggling financially. We know so many people who are currently struggling financially. Even some of those, by all outward appearances, seem like they've got it all together, are struggling financially. And David and I have been there ourselves, and we've done that. We've turned our situation around, so we know that we can help you and everybody else in our community. So the number one goal with tonight is to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're struggling financially, you're with the majority of us.
Right.
And then two, we want to let you know that we are a resource. DebtFreeGuys.com is a resource. The Queer Money podcast, which is available on iTunes, is a resource. And especially the Queer Money Facebook group in Facebook, obviously. It's a private group, but that's also a resource for you. And we keep it private mainly because some people ask personal questions, things that they don't want others to know about them, or that they're not necessarily comfortable sharing to the broader public. So we keep that private, and it's a safe space, so you can ask any questions, make any comments, and we're happy to help and provide any support in any way that we can. Absolutely. So those are tonight's two goals. And as David said, we've got a whole series of content that we're going to provide to help our community thrive financially. Next week, because it's such a critical component of financial success, and David and I struggled with this consistently. I mean, it took us a long time and in fact, there are times that we still struggle with it. But you're never going to be able to change your financial situation until you change your mentality. Every change that you make, every improvement that you make in your life, first has to start up here.
Right.
And if you don't start up here, things aren't going to get better. I applied for a debt consolidation company. They were great. They had great resources. They had a great process. I paid them a decent amount of money, so I should have had the incentive to abide by it. But I wasn't there mentally, and it was just a lot of money out the door. It wasn't their fault. In hindsight, it was 100% my fault, and that's because I didn't have that right money mentality. And so next week we're going to talk about money mentality. You'll see a post about that on our debtfreeguys.com blog. Go there to get the initial information. And then next Wednesday, return here to Debt Free Guys Facebook wall. we're going to do another Facebook Live at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where we're going to dive a little bit deeper in the money mentality, how you can change some exercises and habits that you can use to change your money mentality. And once you can start peeling back that onion, that's when you can start to set in processes and procedures in place to start to change your financial situation.
Absolutely. I want to thank all of you who joined us tonight. And remember, please join us in the Queer Money Facebook group. That way you'll get notifications about not only the Facebook Lives that we'll be doing in the general Debt-Free Guys wall, but John and I also are going to be hosting some private Q&A sessions within that Facebook group. So an opportunity for you to ask us questions about the topics that we've been covering.
Yes, we probably won't do those Queer Money Facebook Live Q&As for a couple of months. We're still working on that. But in the meantime, don't hesitate to ask any questions or make any comments in the Facebook group that you have, and we're happy to address them immediately. And plus, that might help us create the content that we use in the future. If we see that there is a trend in questions or comments on a certain topic, we might create some content around that to help our community fix that or adjust that situation and then start to thrive financially so that we all can live fabulously and not fabulously broke.
Absolutely. Thanks again for joining us, and have a good night. Happy National Coming Out Day.